ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन. Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Swapadam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Jiva Vetam Tavadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vashata Deshatarini Jayu Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Namo Brahmana Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Te Namaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. कोटि वैष्णव की जय. नाम जय दास ठाकुर की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. हरे कृष्णा एवरीवन.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्णा. Okay. So Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. So today chapter 17 Shradha Traya Vibhaga Yoga, which is the division of faith. So division of faith in three modes of material nature. Let's pay our obeisances to Shri Shri Radha Govinda. All glories to Shri Shri Radha Govinda. We'll quickly see the summary. So what did we see in chapter 16? So Krishna explained in detail about the transcendental qualities and the demonic qualities. And we understand that the transcendental qualities lead one to liberation, and having demonic qualities, so he will go life after life, he will be only falling down to lower abominable species of life. No, that's what the people who are engaged in demonic activities, Krishna put them into a abominable species. So he says in chapter 16, we see that. But then transcendental qualities will help one to elevate oneself from the to the spiritual plane, or to a high, either to higher planets or to spiritual abode. And the choice escaping to supreme destination. So we see that the three gate of hell. So what are the three gates of hell which was described in chapter 16? What are the three things that lead one to hell? It is said. What are those three gates? And which one has to give up? What did Krishna say? Hare Krishna.
Lust.
And yeah, one is lust. And then other two?
Anger.
Yes, lust, anger, and
Greed.
yes, greed. Good. So lust, anger, and greed. So tasmat edat trayam tyajet. So Krishna says that. So therefore, you have to give up these three things which can lead to hell. So, in actually, we understand that whoever followed the Shastras, whoever follow the rules and regulations which are given by the God in the form of Vedas and scriptures, so such people are called as Devatas or the Suras. Suras and Asuras. No, Krishna explains that there are two kinds of people in this world. One are the people who are divine, who has divine qualities. They are Suras, and the other are demonic people who are demonic in nature, who are demonic in nature. So these two people are there. No, it was explained. So if we have to go back to Godhead, then obviously we know that what are the qualities Krishna explains in the 26 qualities which was explained in the chapter. One has to cultivate that, right? So in this chapter 17, so there are six sections. Once more determine one's activities, faith, and worship in modes. So basically in chapter 16, we see that whoever follow the Shastras are Suras, and then the other one, the one who don't follow is Asura. So here we see Arjuna's first question will be, what are those people called who follow some Shastras but on their own, which is not described in the Shastras? So what are the modes do they belong to? So then Krishna explains about the three modes defines the faith of someone. Everything people does based on their faith, based on the faith they have developed, right? So that are in three modes. So we'll see the food in three modes, sacrifice in three modes, austerity in the modes, charity in the modes, and the conclusion is Om Tat Sat. So which means that anything we do that should be for satisfying the Lord. Okay. So chapter 16 explains divine qualities that elevate one on the tree and leads ultimately to liberation. Also explains the demonic qualities and mentality which drives one lower on the tree and ultimately to the hell. So this is a material world, upside down banyan trees compared to material world, where if one does pious activities, he can go up in the branches, that is to the higher planets. But engaging in impious activities can make one fall down. So cultivating good qualities, the transcendental qualities will help one to elevate. And engaging in impious activities, a person can fall down. So Krishna has also established in chapter 16 that faithful followers of Shastras are divine and that faithless are demonic. So in what category does a man fit who follow with faith something other than Shastra? Is he in goodness, passion, or ignorance? Where is he situated in the banyan tree? We'll understand. Once more, determine faith and worship in modes. Yes, Prabhu. Santosh Prabhu, you can read.
Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the situation of one who does not follow the principles of scripture but worships according to his own imagination? Is he in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
So we see in the world, in outside world also, like people have different faiths. That is the reason there is so many religions also, right? So many religions, so many faiths. So how have they all have come up? Because not everything is in Shastras. Shastras does not speak about so many religions because we have only one religion which is called Sanatana Dharma. That is what Bhagavatam also states. But then people have made their own religions. So what is the reason for this? Because of people being uh, having certain faith, they have been followed from very long time, or it could be their atmosphere which is make them because from the childhood the kind of faith it depends on a child in which in what kind of family it is born, right? So we develop faith. So we don't know anything as a kid. The child does not know anything, but then by seeing other people following, one starts following the same thing. So it is just belief on somebody, or we start having belief. So we cannot have make keep our faith on something who themselves have defects, right? The human beings have 4 defects, no? What so the person himself is the conditioned soul has a defects. So whatever he has done, shastras, or he invent his own uh, religion, that cannot be perfect because our Sanatan Dharma or the Vedas have been given by Krishna, by the Lord. So that is actually given, it is apaurishaya, that is not given by a normal human. So hence we have to follow which is in Shastras, right? So here Arjuna's question is very relevant to today's time also, where people have so many religions and worship so many different gods which are not in Shastras. So here we see these are all some kind of religions, uh, and people keep faith on them and they follow. They have everybody has their own followers because if that is matching their thinking, people start following such leaders, right? So because they are also in that same guna or some modes. So this flying spaghetti monster is kind of a deity in some temple in some country. So it looks also so weird, but people are following, worshipping that also. So anything, I mean, you have also experienced maybe, like even in India, if somewhere, if some stone is there, if somebody put some kumkum or something, or put some flower or stone, whoever passes by will also start doing that, right? Blindly, without understanding, is it really authorized? Because those are all not authorized. We saw in chapter 12 how the authorized means in a temple, and how scientific, I mean, as per the scriptures, as per the Narada Pancharatra Vidhi, how a deity is established. But people just follow their own way. So what are these people? How are they? In which mode are they? No, that is what is Arjuna's question here. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrunu.
The Supreme Lord said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of 3 kinds: goodness, passion, or ignorance. Now hear about these. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah. So Krishna is saying here that the faith is also depends on which mode the person is in. So a sattvic person, a person who is in mode of goodness has certain kind of faith, and person in certain mode of passion has certain kind of faith, and ignorance is a certain kind of faith. So that three kinds this has been divided. So Prabhupada gives in the purport that whatever faith one has, see, Prabhupada always said it has to be supported by sadhu, guru, sadhu, and shastra. So whatever faith we may have, but then is it supported by shastra? We have to see, is it supported by shastra? Is it the same thing told by the guru? Because that should match with the preachings of guru. No? That and then is it agreed by all the sadhus? No? So those three things has to be in the same line. Otherwise, I can take anything. I can tell this is my faith and I believe in this. Who are we to tell that? No? We don't have anything. So same thing even when Vyasadeva gave the Vedanta Sutra, he gave the sutras because so many philosophers may come and they can give their own philosophy on Vedanta. So how can people will get confused? So whoever are going to give, it has to match with those sutras. Only then that will be accepted. That is why that sutras have been made by Vyasadeva, who is said to be the incarnation of uh, uh, God himself, right? So Krishna says here that the faith can be of three modes. Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shradha bhavati bharata Shraddamayoyam purushaha yo yat Shraddasa eva saha.
O son of Bharata, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah. So what is it saying here? Sattva Rupa Sarvasya. So everybody who are in existence. So basically, how are we developing a particular kind of faith? So we see in Krishna says that we are all a fragmental part and parcel of the Lord, right? Mamaivamsho jivaloka sanatanaha manashashtani indriyani prakritistani kashati. So he says that you're all my part and parcel. That's what Krishna explains in chapter 15. Why should we not be attached to this material world? There he explains, no, because you are all my part and parcel. So there, initially the soul is very pure by nature, and we know like when it comes in contact with the material nature, it becomes contaminated. That is how the faith also is developed based on the association one has. And it is not just this life association. From many lives, we have taken so many lives which we don't remember, because Krishna says that there is no time that when you are not there. In chapter 4, there is no time when you are not there, nor I am not there, or these kings. Everybody existed from the time immemorial. That means the soul is existing and is taking on different bodies continuously, life after life. And every life we are carrying some kind of faith. And we see that how is it Vayur Gandha Nivashayat, there in 15th chapter Krishna says that just like how the air is carrying aroma, we are taking all the different conceptions of life in our mind. And this mind is having a different kind of faith. That's how the faith is becoming strong and stronger. So the more and more we associate with mode of passion or mode of ignorance, so similar kind of birth we will take, and similar kind of faith becomes stronger and stronger in each life. So that's how a living entity develops certain kind of faith. Here, that is what is the Lord explaining. So Prabhupada says that, but these faith which is developed, it is not as per the Shastras. So it is something called an artificial faith. It is not a true faith. No. So proper faith comes from the mode of goodness. That is actually pure mode of goodness. So worshipping Krishna comes in pure mode of goodness. It is above the sattva guna. No, sattva guna means we'll see in the next sloka. So they will be worshipping the devatas, which are approved in the shastras. Yanti de yajante satvika devan yaksharaksham rajasaha pretan bhutaganan yajante tamasa janaha.
Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods, those in the mode of passion worship the demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. Hare Krishna.
So we can identify the person's faith based on his type of worship also. So here, because everything, whatever a person does, because whatever work we do, there should be a faith, right? So even if you go to a doctor and he gives some medicine, so we don't know whether that is right or not because we are not qualified in that area. But then we keep faith on the doctor and we take the medicine, right? So wherever you go, we keep the faith in the whatever we do, and only then that we are able to do that work. So here, even for worshipping a Lord, so unless one has a faith in the God, he cannot worship. So that faith is developed, and sometimes people read right in the Vedas, and they know that okay, if you worship certain God, you can be elevated to heaven. The highest is the heavenly planets, the higher planets. So by seeing that, they start worshipping, or they do certain specific sacrifices to elevate themselves to the higher planets, right? But that is still recommended in Shastras because that is coming in Vedas. And people who are mode of goodness, they worship demigods. So demigods, basically people who have some material desires, they usually go for demigod worship because their whatever their desires, that will get very soon fulfilled. And Krishna says that in chapter 4 that Kangshata karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha shipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja, means very soon they will get the benefits. We see that we can see that some people who are worshipping demigods also, they get all the opulence, material opulences they can get. They are awarded. They can get awarded. But then Krishna says that antavantu palam tesham tadbhavatyalpamedasam devan deva yejo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. So he says in chapter 7 that why people go there, because they are not very intelligent. Antavattu palam tesham, because the whatever they get, the results are very temporary. It won't stay for long time, and also uh, it is impermanent and it is temporary, right? So and the fruits are not permanent. So he says that they are unintelligent. They are not intelligent enough who goes there. So here we see that, but still they are said to be mode of goodness because through the devatas, Krishna will give them. I mean, he guide them because they are also the part and parcel of the Lord, and they because of the pious deeds they have become the demigods. Because even we know that Lord Brahma is also a position. Even a living entity can qualify himself to a Brahma's position. It is said in Shastras. So, so this, so this one, what was I saying? So the worship of demigods is again approved by the Shastras, and those in the mode of passion worship the demons. So demons means even the people who uh, consider themselves also. Some people expect them to be worshipped as God. No, so there are people who claim themselves to be God. So that kind of more people. These are more in Kali Yuga because people are very foolish and very dull-headed. They very easily. It is easy for such people to brainwash them. No, because they are not they don't read the Shastras and they have to believe whatever some other people say, right? And then so and the people in ignorance, they worship the ghost and spirit. So we see that there are people who still worship the ghost and spirit. So but we have seen this, no, what will happen, what will be their destination? We saw this previously. So what is the destination of somebody who is worshipping demigods? Where will they go? Or where will they go? Where can they go? Is others? Santosh Prabhu knows everything, I know. What about others? You all don't want to speak. I want others to also participate, please. It's Hare Krishna. So what is the destination of worshipping demigods? Many times we have seen this in Bhagavad Gita, right? Nobody wants to open. Hare Krishna. Okay, we will not move today from here. Yes, Ravi Prabhu.
So they will get rebirth Mataji, and come back into this body.
Yes, they will come, but where will they go? Because
They'll go
if they're
to
worship,
demons only.
huh?
They will go to demons and they'll get rebirth and come back.
No, I'm asking for mode of goodness. Who is worshipping demigods? Where do they go?
They will go to the upper loka.
Ah.
They are demigod life.
Correct. So demigod, they can go to the loka of demigods. They can even go to Lord Brahma's Satya Loka also. Correct. And then what about people who worship the demons? Yeah, they can also go to
They
the
will
lower.
have to meet the demons only. As
Yeah.
as they are, yes. They will go to
So
the demons.
and then the people who work who are in mode of ignorance, who was worshipping ghost, where will they go?
They will go to the host. Lower. Level.
Correct. So Krishna says, no, Devan Devaya Jo Yanti Madbhakta Yanti Mamapi. So whoever worship Devatas, they go to Devatas world. And who is worshipping, in mode of passion, they come to earth again. No? The earth, it is called as a world of fruitive activities. So per person, mode of passion means who is engaged in fruitive activities. So he will come back to this earth. And in the lower planet, we see that they will go to the lower planets, which is below the earth. There are 14 planetary systems, so they'll go down. No? So, but then these three also they are binding, right? So one should not ask very well, because Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartin Arjuna. Krishna says that even if you go to higher planet of Brahma, also you have to come back and take birth. So even Lord Shiva says to Mother Parvati that of all the worships, that is worshipping of devatas is good, but then aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param. Tasmat parataram dehi tadeyartha. He says one word there. Tadiyanam samarchita means what? So he says that of all the worship, worshipping Lord Vishnu is the highest, but higher to that is worship of the Vaishnavas, the pure devotees. That is what is the philosophy of Vaishnava, Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, right? We don't go directly to Krishna, but we go through the devotees. So when we please the devotees, then Krishna will be pleased. So that is the way of going to the Lord. Ashasravitam goram tapyante ye tapo janaha dambahankara tatve samyuktaha kamaragabalanvitaha karshayanta sharirastam bhutagramamachetasaha mam chaivanta sharirastam tan vidyasura nischayan.
Those who undergo severe austerities and penances, not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride, egoism, lust, and attachment, who are impelled by passion and who torture their bodily organs as well as the super soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons. Hare Krishna Mataji.
So these people are doing so much of austerity and penances, but nowhere it is mentioned that such penances has to be done to please the Lord. So only thing which is pleasing Lord only has to be performed, right? So the austerities or penances, which is not recommended, and they're doing on their own and troubling, they're not just troubling the other people, they are also troubling their own body. We can see here, no? What are these yogas or yoga forms the people are doing and troubling, and also they're torturing their body. And Krishna is saying here, because the Lord is there as super soul, and they're actually troubling the super soul also, not just the soul themselves, they're troubling. So such people are very demoniac. And this is actually in the mode of ignorance, right? And sometimes out of pride and egoism. So, like how Ravana wanted to have a staircase to the moon planet, no? So very easily, without any sacrifices, proper sacrifices, he wanted to do something like that. So that kind of things is not recommended or agreeable. And also torturing the body also means like some people like the we see here committing suicide also is not is a sinful activity. So if anybody does that, so obvious, because we don't have right on this body, right? That is, a body is also given by the Lord. So we don't have right on anything. We have just the soul, based on its desire, it has taken some body, and we have to complete our karma in this life. And that is just an like a instrument which has to be used for, actually for devotional service, right? The human body is given for not just for the sense gratification. But then if a person is committing suicide and like that, then what happens? His karma is stopped in between, and then it cannot complete as per the plan of the Lord. And then he has to suffer a ghost life. Like he will not get a body, gross body will not be awarded, and he has to suffer, right? So these are all not recommended in the Shastras. And Krishna says that in the chapter 16 that whoever is disobedient to the Shastras and following on their own, so what he will do? Tanyaham Kshipa, I will send them to lower species of life. Krishna says there that he will put in a womb of a mother in abominable species, like they can be in some animals or wild animal, like womb of a mother. So these are not recommended. Aharastvapि sarvasya trivido bhavati priyah yajnastapastata danam tesham vedamimam shrunu.
Even the food each person prefers is of three kinds. According to the three modes of material nature, the same is true of sacrifices, austerities, and charity. Now, here of the distinctions between them. Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
Mataji.
So now we'll see the food in three modes, and also the sacrifices and austerity and charity in three modes of material nature. So basically, one need to identify based on their eating, sacrifice, austerity, and charity, that what kind of faith are they? Are they having in mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance? So if we are able to discriminate that, then we are considered wise. Otherwise, we are foolish. Yes, Prabhu, you can read this.
Yeah. Foods in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such nourishing foods are sweet, juicy, fattening, and palatable. Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, pungent, dry, and hot are liked by people in the modes of passion. Such foods cause pain, distress, and disease. Food cooked more than 3 hours before being eaten, which is tasteless, stale, putrid, decomposed, and unclean, is food liked by people in the mode of ignorance.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
So three kind of food have been explained in this slide. So food in mode of goodness. So it is said to be, so food, why is the food taken? Basically to increase one's life duration and to purify one's existence, right? And also it has to give one bodily strength. So these three things are required. So here we see those things are available only in the food which are in mode of goodness. So such food, how do we identify? They are sweet, juicy, fattening, and palatable. And in Prabhupada says that fattening does not mean that it is from animal fat. So basically, it is through milk, right? Milk is having fat. Through milk, we can make the butter and ghee, right? So that fat is really good for health. So, but then the people who are in mode of passion, we see that, most of them, like all the spicy food or the chats, right? Masalas, more of masalas. So these are all in mode of passion. And what is the outcome of is the result of taking mode of food in mode of goodness? It will give us strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. But the food in mode of passion, it gives us pain, distress, and disease. Actually, initially it will be nice, but then later we have to suffer. While eating, it is nice. But the sattvic food may not be very, we may not like, I mean, doing only having the sattvic food may not be very much interest for everyone. But then for long term, if we see, it is very good for body, health, and mind, all the three, right? But the food in mode of ignorance, so this is actually stale food and decomposed, right? And people, they're all intoxicated drinks and everything, this come under mode of ignorance because they are made very long back. And here, as per Shastras, it is said food is made 3 hours before. After 3 hours, if we eat, that becomes a stale. So not recommended. But then again, if it is offered to Krishna, then it becomes transcendental. You can even have later also. There's no problem. You can even have the next day also. It's not a problem because we see in Janmashtami time when devotees fast the whole day with a nirjal and then they break in the night with the fruits. So all the dishes were made for Krishna. They will have next day only because that does not become stale because it is transcendental because it is offered to the Lord. And Krishna explains in the chapter 9 what are the things is pleasing to Lord. I mean, what does he like to have? Patram pushpam palanto yam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti paratam ashnami priyatatmanaha. So you can offer me patram is leaf, a fruit, a flower, or water. Anything with love and devotion. But Ashnami Priyatatmanaha, because only when we offer with love, Krishna will take it. So one has to prepare the book with good consciousness. So, if, I mean, it's always in the temple, whoever only does, like one can enter the kitchen after chanting, like they complete the 16 round chanting, right? They have to complete so that they are in a very good consciousness. And because the temple or the kitchen is considered to be Radharani's kitchen, so they take, I mean, we also have to cook in the same mood, thinking that taking the blessings, like they take a blessing that I am not actually eligible to cook for you, Krishna, but then we pray Radharani that give me that blessing so that I can offer Krishna with love and devotion. So, and then with the correct mood for offering and honoring the Krishna Prasad. So when we honor also, we say that mantra, right? So while offering to the Lord also, we say the mantra where we put the tulsi and then say mantra and then you take it. So, and then while honoring Prasad, so we that time also we have that Mahaprasade Govinda. I think you all know. Otherwise, we can share in the um, I mean in the group. I will share later. So while offering and for honoring both, we have to tell the mantras. So and what will be the result? So it will actually I mean it will make us more Krishna consciousness. Like Prabhupada says that when we eat that it will help us to advance spiritually because we are having the uchista of the Lord. That is, Krishna has tasted it. No? Krishna has tasted the prasad, and then we are having it will work on our mind also, right? And then only we will start able to understand the spiritual subject. We will not be able to understand, Prabhupada says, unless we get that mercy of the Lord. So this Krishna's prasad means it's a mercy of the Lord. No? Yes, Prabhu.
Of sacrifices, that sacrifice performed according to duty and to scriptural rules and with no expectation of reward is of the nature of goodness. Yeah. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna Mata.
So any sacrifices performed as a matter of duty. So always in mode of goodness, They don't do that. Is it very easier to do or difficult to do? They don't do in that way. Mode of goodness means doing because it's my duty. It's given in the scriptures and it's a matter of duty and without expectation of any reward. So such is the mode of goodness. So in Shastras, we have given, Krishna says, Yagnanam Japa Yagnosmi. So of yagnas, of sacrifices, I am Japa Yagna. So and for Kali Yuga, the yagna which is recommended is Harinam Sankirtan. No? So Hare Rama eva kevalam Kalo nasti eva nasti gatir anyata. So hence one has to chant the holy name of the Lord, which is recommended in the scripture. Then it is in mode of goodness. So in sacrifice in mode of goodness, according to direction of scripture, as a matter of duty performed. So there's no mental speculation. So example, going to temple or a church as a matter of duty and not for some expectation, not going to ask for some, asking God to fulfill some material desires, but actually for as a matter of respect and as we have to go and pay obeisances to the Lord. So duty of every civilized man, Prabhupada says, to obey scriptural injunctions, to offer respect to Supreme Personality of Godhead. So desiring no reward, and Prabhupada says that it's a general tendency of everyone that we go to temple only when we want something in back from the Lord. Otherwise, usually people don't go to temple. So that should not be there. So such sacrifices mode of goodness.
But that sacrifice performed for some material end or benefit are performed ostentatiously out of pride is of the nature of passion, the chief of the Bharatas.
Yeah. So anything, any sacrifice done for some thing in return, could be even to going to a higher planet, that is also considered to be as mode of passion. Yes,
and that sacrifice performed in defiance of scriptural injunctions, in which no spiritual food is distributed, no hymns are chanted, and no remunerations are made to the priests, and which is faithless, that sacrifice is of the nature of ignorance.
Yeah. So in mode of ignorance, a person does the sacrifice which is not mentioned in the scripture. So here we see this was Bhaumasura. So he was offering his body parts like flesh in the sacrificial fire. Because he is very merciful, Lord Shiva, he comes and then he grants him the boon. And so what did he ask? Actually, he asked that whomever I touch, like on their head, I mean, when I touch their head, they have to burn into ashes. So these people ask such kind of thing, even which is harming others, or not for any good of any, I mean, good for any people. So it's so basically, then after he was awarded, he immediately wanted to try the same thing on Lord Shiva himself. So such is the sacrifices in the mode of ignorance. So there's no hymns, no nothing are chanted, and no remuneration, and not even no spiritual food is distributed. So in ISKCON, we can see that Prabhupada wanted, I mean, made a point that every ISKCON has to distribute free food. And not only in temple, and also like many temples, they even give to the schools, right? In the nearby, like Prabhupada's dream was like near, I mean, around in 10-kilometer distance, there should not be any children who should be starving. So whoever came to temple, I mean, they have to get the food. So because that is also uplifting for them. So by having spiritual food, they can also become God conscious, right? So that is the best thing one can do to others by offering prasad. So now austerity in 3 modes. So austerity of body, mind, and speech. Worship of the Supreme Lord, Brahmanas, the spiritual master and superiors like father, mother, So these are all said to be in mode of goodness, cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. I think this we will see. So speech, austerity of speech, speaking truthful, pleasing, beneficial, not agitating to others, also regularly reciting Vedic literature. Austerity of mind, gravity in thought, satisfaction, simplicity, self-control, purification of one's existence. Okay, you can read this.
It is apparent that the chanting of the Maha Mantra or the Vedic mantras must be accompanied by severe austerities. In Kali Yuga, people cannot undergo severe austerities like those mentioned herein, drinking only water and eating only air for many months. One cannot imitate such a process, but at least one must undergo some austerity by giving up 4 unwanted principles, namely illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling.
Yeah. So these 4 things have Prabhupada has given us, that at least these 4 one should not do. At least so much austerity we should do. And we know, like also on the Ekadashis and on the today's Ekadashi, right? So for Ekadashi, we have to keep fasting. So what will happen in the while doing that? We are controlling indirectly. It is controlling the senses. No, we are not giving everything what our senses ask. So there is some restriction in food. Okay, if you are not able to, if you have some medications, so you are not able to keep fasting, at least resist yourself. I mean, refrain yourself from having grains, grains and grains, beans, and right. So these things one should not have. So at least you can have made of milk products, anything related milk product you can have, fruits you can have. So these austerities are required, and Prabhupada says here that one has to follow these 4 regulative principles, and yeah, because that is also austerity, right? Devadvija Guru Pragna Pujanam Sauchamarjavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsa cha Shariram Tapa Uchyate.
The austerity of the body consists in this: worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like the father and mother. Cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence are also austerities of the body.
Yeah. So the austerity of body consists of worshipping the Supreme Lord. So we pay obeisances to the Lord when we go to temple, right? Or you do parikrama. So that is also a austerity which are going for the body, and for the Brahmanas and the spiritual master, because spiritual master is considered to be like a god, no? Sakshat Daritrena Samasta Shastra, we sing every morning, no? So that is, he is considered to be, the representative of God. So we have to pay obeisances, and also like to the elders or superiors like father and mother. So, and we see that Raghunath Das Goswami, so who was so much of austerity he was doing, right? He was paying, he was every day he was doing, all our Goswamis have done austerity, and Raghunath Das Goswami, he was doing 64 rounds every day, the chanting, and 1,000 obeisances to Krishna, and 2,000 obeisances he used to pay to the Vaishnavas, even in the mind, right? Not everyone he can meet, but then in mind he used to offer every day, single day. And during his last days, he was only having 1 cup of buttermilk. So there's a severe austerities, but then that was to please to the Lord. But then we cannot imitate, as it is said, can only follow their path, right? We have to do at least the basic things which Prabhupada has given us. Keeping the fasting on Ekadashis, and on the disappearance and appearance day of the Acharyas, and on the Janmashtami, right? At least in a we can do. And there is some days at least in Nirjal, if you are able to do, if your body permits. So it is said that only above 80 years, people, there is a, for them at least, because there is a medicines and these things, they cannot do. But then other than that, anyone can do. At least they can have with some fruits or some alternative they can have, and they can do. So cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence are also austerity of the body. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam cha yat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa uchyate.
Austerity of speech consists in speaking truthfully and beneficially and in avoiding speech that offends. One should also recite the Vedas regularly. Hare Krishna.
So here it is said that it's very good that we speak very truth and all that, but then that should also be not offend others. It has to be also, I mean, one should not, because it should be truth, and when we speak, we have to see whether it is benefiting the other person, or one should avoid if it is offending the other person. No. And here in this, we can remember when Vidura came from his yatra, right? He went for uh, the Tirth Yatra when there was Brahmabharata war, and on his return, so when he come to know, he knew everything, that he knew that Lord Krishna has ended his pastime and went back. But then when he comes to the uh, kingdom, right? So there, when he sees the Pandavas, so they were Yudhishthira asked him so many questions. I mean, he that how are everyone, and but then he didn't wanted to speak. So it is mentioned that. So finally, he says that anyway, the bad things will people come to know anyways. Why should I tell and make them feel bad before that is known to them? So he avoided that speech there. So tactfully speaking, it is not that some hurting, no. I mean, some people, like, they are not able to take that loss. We see that in reality also. Sometimes doctors also don't really tell a person who is dying that he will die in 3 months. If that is the case also, they don't even tell like that, because if he come to know, he may not even live for 3 months. He may die even more early. So they always give some hope, like. So it could be some cases we avoid truth, right? Avoid in the trend. So it should, because it should be palatable to the other person to hear. It should not hurt. So that is the thing. Thinking in that way before speaking, that is said to be austerity of speech. And that she is when one speech also should benefit to human society. मनः प्रासाद संयत्वं मौनमात्मविनिग्रहः भावसंशुद्धिरित्येतत् तपोमानसमुच्यते.
And serenity, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purity of thought are the austerities of the mind.
Yeah. So austerity of mind means, so simplicity, gravity, gravity. I mean, not engaging in more of sense enjoyment. And gravity means not talking unnecessary things, but only when it relate to uh, uh, Krishna. So because Prabhupada says the Mayavadis means they won't speak, no, thinking that it is one should not speak, but that is not the right thing. So Krishna has given us mouth, but then we have to speak about the glories of Lord. That is what that is the definition of Krishna conscious person, who is complete in complete a pure devotee, like Prabhupada. Prabhupada used to speak so much, otherwise how would he establish such a big organization, all over the world? But then he never spoke anything apart from the Lord. So simplicity, self-control, and purity of thought. So how can the purity of thought come? By association. So associating with the with pure devotees. So with Prabhupada, have association with Prabhupada by reading his books. So we get association of Prabhupada by reading his books, and he. So one can, and by purifying the mind also is by chanting. So chanting can purify one's consciousness, right? So yeah. So we can see here, like it is said that when we speak, right? So we can put people into different emotions just by our words. We can make someone sad, someone happy, just by being, when you speak to them, they can, it can happen to the people. So here we can see that, yeah, I think this comes in austerity of speech actually. This slide has to go before this. So basically here it is said like when Prahlad Maharaj, with his sweet words, right, he was able to make even the children of demons to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So and Prabhupada says that our spiritual master. So we can see here the people are, I mean, the devotees having fun with Prabhupada in that below picture, and then in the first picture he is a bit serious in the sense he has rights to instruct, and also he can chastise also, he can scold his disciple also. That right is given to spiritual master, he can do that. Shraddhaya paraya taptam tapasthatrividam naraihi apalakankshibiryuktaihi satvikam parichakshate.
This threefold austerity practiced by men whose aim is not to benefit themselves materially but to please the Supreme is of the nature of goodness. Hare Krishna.
So this is austerity. So we see like the parikrama and all, because there is no show off there. That is really that is actually done to please the Lord. And we see there that so many people, that there are different kind of, this is just walking. Some actually dandavat, every step they do dandavat, and they do. And that is almost like 19, more than 19 kilometers, right? 19 to so that parikrama Vrindavan they will do by doing dandavats. It will take many days. So once I asked also, I met one devotee. He was actually young. He was around 25, 26 year old. He was with his mother and he was doing that dandavat and he was going. So I asked him like, does he have any like I mean, there will be like you pray like if my certain thing is fulfilled, I will do this, no? That kind of thing. That is actually in mode of passion. But many people do that. If they have some or is some disease or anything, they pray God that if I cured by this disease, then I will do this for you. That is like a uh, bargaining with the Lord, right? I will do this. So was it something like that? I mean, has he promised something like to God to do this? Because it is so much difficult. It's not easy. Just walking itself is not easy. Just imagine every step you have to lie down. You know that dandavat, right? How do you do it before Lord? So such dandavat he has to do the complete uh, so many kilometers. It's not easy. And so he said, no, it is. I'm not doing for anything. It is only to please Krishna. He said, so nice. So that is said to be in mode of goodness. So these are all different parikrama we can see. This is Mayapur parikrama, Vrindavan parikrama. It's in mode of goodness. Satkaramana pujartam tapodambena chaivayat kriyate tad iha proktam rajasam chalamadruvam.
Those austerities, penances, and austerities which are performed in order to gain respect, honor, and reverence are said to be in the mode of passion. They are neither stable nor permanent. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this any penances and austerities doing only to gain respect and honor from people, no, not for any pleasing the Lord, but they are doing for the mana puja pratishtha, they say, right? So this is basically for uh, uh, to getting some honor. So that kind of the austerity is called as is in mode of passion. So now in mode of ignorance. मूढग्राहेणात्मना यत् पीडया क्रियते तपः परस्योत्सादनार्थं वा तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्.
And those penances and austerities which are performed foolishly by means of obstinate self-torture or to destroy or injure others are said to be in the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Just like the austerities done by Bhaumasra and even Hiranyakashipu, right? So we so much austerity he did that there was nothing left on his body. No, he had become so thin and bones were visible. And but then why do they do? They want to destroy, no, destroy or injure, because he wanted to have control over the devatas and the all planetary system. So that is said to be in mode of ignorance. So now charity in 3 modes. I think we can complete today. Maybe I will take another 15 minutes extra and we'll complete. I don't, because it's a small chapter, not much of philosophy, so we can complete. दातव्यमिति यद्दानं दीयते नोपकारिणे देशे काले च पात्रे च तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतम्.
That gift which is given out of duty at the proper time and place to a worthy person and without expectation of return is considered to be charity in the mode of goodness. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So when we are doing charity, 3 things we have to see. Are we giving to a right person? Is he worthy of it? Because if he is not worthy of it, then that karma also come to us, no? Or it will not have any spiritual gain. And if he is not worthy, or if you are giving something and if he is using something for bad or sinful activity, so we also become we'll also get that part, right? So we don't want to give to some person who is not worthy, and it has to be given in a proper time and place. So these, and without expectation anything in return. So not having any expectation. So giving the spiritual knowledge or giving very auspicious, giving Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam to someone is very auspicious. So these are all gift which is given out of charity in mode of goodness. Many people on Ekadashi, they give charity because it has, it is said the benefits are multiple. No? If it is done on that day, many people do on charity, they give also. So best charity is giving to temple, because temple is a place where the spiritual knowledge is given to everyone, right? Yeah. So given out of duty without expectation in return. यत्तु प्रत्युपकारार्थं फलम् उद्दिश्य वा पुनः दीयते च परिक्लिष्टं तद्दानं राजसंस्मृतम्.
But charity performed with the expectation of some return or with a desire for fruitive results or in a grudging mood is said to be charity in the mode of passion.
Yeah, so 3 things is mentioned for people who are giving charity in mode of passion. So whenever they give, they have some expectation in return. That could be a name, fame also, if it's not in the same material. So that is also an expectation only. So, or we can see here in this picture, a person taking a picture while giving, and because you want to post that in social media and you want to show everyone that I have made so much charity, I'm such a big man, such a generous person, right? So such thing is in mode of passion, or desiring for fruitive results, that is doing sacrifice to getting something in return, or in a grudging mood in the sense, we are giving charity, okay, and then you're feeling that, oh, I maybe I given more, why did I give so much, was it required so much, like thinking after giving, thinking that I should have not, maybe I should have not given so much, no, that is also is said to be in mode of passion. अदेशकाले यद्दानम् अपात्रेभ्यश्च दीयते असत्कृतमवज्ञातं तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्.
And charity performed at an improper place and time and given to unworthy persons without respect and with contempt is charity in the mode of ignorance.
Yeah, so this is in mode of ignorance. So giving in an improper place. So it's not in a temple or anything. Somebody is sitting on road and is like, no, he's already weed, means he want intoxication. So for that also people are giving charity. See, first of all, he is a shameless person who is asking for such deeds, the charity, and people are giving them also. So what to tell? So such unworthy. So this is not not at all approved by the Lord. Such charities are not approved. So this is said to be in mode of ignorance. And also it is said when it is given with no proper attention, right? So no proper means the person may be of capable, like you are giving to a proper Brahmana or a Vaishnava, or but then you are not really respecting them. Without respecting, if we are giving, so that is also not considered. That is also considered to be charity in mode of ignorance. Only because somebody is telling to give and you're giving without respect to that person, so such thing will not have any benefits of charity. So the conclusion, Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Saditi Nirdesho Brahmanas Trivida Smritaha Brahmanastena Vedascha Yagnascha Vihita Pura.
From the beginning of creation, the three syllables Om Tat Sat have been used to indicate the supreme absolute truth, Brahman. They were uttered by Brahmanas while chanting Vedic hymns and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Hari Om Tat Sat. So basically, Hari Om Tat Sat. So three shlokas is being explained in further next shlokas. So anything is done. So it was initially started by Lord Brahma. He was the first living entity who started, to offer the sacrifice to the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, to Hari Om, saying that Hari Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat, right? The same thing have been followed by everyone, all the sages, while chanting anything when they are doing sacrifice or charity, right? Any yagna they do, they start with the Om Tat Sat. Now, even in while telling the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, we say, na, Om Tat Saditi. Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So we offered that to Lord. That is to, right.
Mataji,
Yeah,
why is Om added to every name before chanting
because
any
it
name?
represents Krishna, no? Krishna says that Om is his representation. In chapter 10, I think it's in chapter 10. So Om is actually representation. In all the Vedas, all the Vedic mantras, Om is there. Om is given because it represents Krishna. Yeah.
Thus,
So,
the transcendentalists undertake sacrifices, charities, and penances, beginning always with Om to attain the Supreme. Om Ityetat Brahmano Nidishtam Nama indicates the first goal. Om means Vishnu. It is placed at the beginning of Vedic hymns to indicate the supreme goal.
yeah. So this is any, so the three words, no? Om, Tat, and Sat. So Om, this is about the Om. So anything before starting the sacrifice or charities and penance, one has to start with the word Om. And then the next, this is for the Tad. Yeah. Tat.
One should perform sacrifice, penance, and charity with the word Tat. The purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from the material entanglement. Tat Tattvamasi Chandogya Upanishad. Tat describes detached work for the sake of liberation. These activities are done with disregard for material results.
Yeah. So this Tat means performing. So while performing, how one should have a mentality, like it should not be for any fruitive activity or fruitive result. So that kind of or not being, completely like describes detached work for the sake of liberation, not for having any material results. So that is to become free from the material entanglements. So that is Tat. Now,
The abs- yeah.
last, yeah. Yes, please.
Please.
Sat.
Yeah. The absolute truth is the objective of devotional sacrifice, and it is indicated by the word Sat. These works of sacrifice, of penance, and of charity, true to the absolute nature, are performed to please the Supreme Person, O Son of Pruta.
O son of Pritha.
Yeah. O, Mataji, that is, it's a bullet or O.
Yeah, it's a
O Sat,
bullet.
Sadeva
Sat.
Saumya. Sadeva Saumya, Chandogya Upanishad. Sat means eternal. Activities done for the service of the Lord reveal the true spiritual nature. In such activity, the performer of actions becomes eternal. The activities are aimed at the eternal, and the benefits of the activities are eternal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
So first we saw that any charity, penance, and sacrifice, before starting, one has to chant the Om. And while doing the process, Tat is used. And Sat means one should know what is the objective of the whatever I am doing. So that is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is represented by Sat. And Prabhupada says here that Sat also represents two things. Sat is represented by, one is the object of devotional service, that is the Lord, and the other, the performer, is also called as the Sat. So Om Tat Sat means activities that are transcendental. So one who engage in Krishna consciousness is called as sadhu. No? Prabhupada gives here. So only with association of such people one can get this transcendental knowledge. So, and Om Tat Sat is also said to be, they use this Om Tat Sat while giving initiation to the devotees. No? When they take the name initiation is given. So factually the transcendental, so this is given by Acharyas. So the meaning of Omkara, how a living entity and the AUM representing the three letters, no, which is having the Radharani and Krishna and the living entity. So it's given by the Acharyas. So factually the transcendental sound Omkara, sorry, although a combination of three letters, letters A, U and Om, Yam, has transcendental potency, and one who chants Omkara will very soon realize Omkara and Lord Vishnu to be non-different. So Krishna is not different. That is an impersonal representation of the Lord, Omkara. For A, it is Akare Nochyate Krishna. So it represents Krishna. Sarva Lokaika Nayakaha. U Kare Nochyate Radha. Makaro Jiva Vachakaha. So A Karanochate Krishna, the letter A, Ekara, Akara, refers to Krishna, who is Sarvalokaika Nayaka, the master of all living entities and planets, material and spiritual. The letter U or Ukara indicates Radharani, Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of the Krishna, and Makara indicates the living entities. So this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, 7th chapter, 128 sloka.
But sacrifices, austerities, and charities performed without faith in the Supreme are non-permanent. O son of Pruta, regardless of whatever rites are performed, they are called asat and are useless both in this life and the next.
Yeah. So any sacrifices which is not conforming to the Shastras, so those are all called as asat. So even Rupa Goswami Prabhupada says, Shruti Smriti Purana Di Pancharatra Vidhi Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpatateva Kalpate. So anything which is not supported by the Shastras, Shruti, Smriti. Shruti is the Vedas, the Smriti is the Upanishads and the Puranas. If it is not approved by those, so those things are only a disturbance in the society, he says. So that is, so Lord Krishna calls this as asat, which is useless even in this life and the next. So there's no use of doing such sacrifices on their own mental speculations, or whimsically one should not do such sacrifices based on their faith. So the faith means, the proper faith is to be in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, correct? So as per the whatever is in the Shastras, and to understand this, we need a bona fide spiritual master. So only then one can attain perfection and can be liberated, become liberated and free from the material entanglements. So otherwise, uh, so so otherwise it will be called as asat. So these are the sections. So we saw how the three modes of material nature defines one's fate, right? And then we saw the food in modes. So how different foods are pleasing for different people. And if we want to cultivate sattva guna, we have to change our food habits. No, it is said whatever you are, what you eat. It is said. So if you want to, we have to start from the food and not just normal vegetarian food. But then it is we have to offer to the Lord and have it. That is what becomes sanctified. Food becomes sanctified, right? Then sacrifice in the modes, and we saw austerity, charity in three modes. So the best is to raise to pure mode of goodness and offering to the Lord Shri Krishna. So the conclusion, Om Sat Sat. Anything doing for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. Okay. So there is no class tomorrow. Any questions related to today's chapter, you may ask. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So I just wanted to ask that Ekadashi fast, when generally you take the food which has been prescribed for fast, like milk and other products. So is that okay, or that should not also be taken?
Yeah, whatever is prescribed, you can take. You are allowed to take fruits, milk, right? You can take, sweet potato is allowed. And yeah, what is your question, Prabhu?
Yes, that only.
Yeah, you can have. The only thing is you should not have grains.
Right.
Yeah. You know the reason behind it?
No.
Okay. Somebody can tell. Is Digant Prabhu? You may be knowing. Hare Krishna. Can you tell what is the reason why one should not eat grains on Ekadashi?
Yeah, it was because of the devil entered the wheat. I'm forgetting the exact reason, but it was because of that particular reason. It is said that we should avoid wheat and grains.
Okay.
The devil entered.
It's not devil entered. So basically, what is said in Shastras is that so once Krishna goes to the hell, right? So there he sees Emraj, and he people are suffering so much in different hell, and Lord became very sympathetic because he's all merciful, right? So he thought and then he asked Yamraj. So when Yamraj says that because they have done so much of pap and sins in so many life, that is why they are suffering. So Krishna says, okay, they have to come. They also need to get liberated, no? So so they say, he says that, okay, all the sins, whatever is there, so that I'm keeping in the grains. On that day, if we have grains, so people that all the sins will come to people who have the grains on that day, on Ekadashi day. So that is why not recommended to have grains. So yeah, it is more or less like a ghost only because it is like sins you are accumulating more. Uh, by having grains on this today. So just avoid grains at least, and you can have some other food. You can have
Thank
all
you.
the fruits and these things. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Mataji, I had a doubt regarding what a ghost, but then you explained it while explaining that
Yeah,
particular
because I've
sloka.
never read something like that, ghost kind of thing. So yeah, because then it can be a wrong interpretation, because ghost also has a soul. Then
Exactly.
so people should not misinterpret. So that is
It
why.
was running in my mind since the day before yesterday. What happened was, in our society, we have a temple, and one of the person who is assisting the main Panditji, he committed suicide. So I was just thinking, like, I mean, that's such a sinful act to do, and that to a person who is walking inside the temple. Maybe he never read the Bhagavad Gita, I suppose.
Yeah. Yes.
And Mataji, I really liked one more thing when you said that you'll be sharing those mantras that is meant for
Yeah.
bhog and all. So you please do that. Those 3 mantras.
Yeah.
It's very
Yes.
necessary.
I will. Yes. I will post it in the group. So yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. There are no other questions. We can close. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavandi ki jai, Namacharya Das Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And we chant 3 times Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you
Hare
very
Krishna.
much.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Thank
Mataji.
you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.